You are listening to Trophy Horse with your hosts, Tricky Nick, Alex, I Yield to No One, Sid, and Ender Phoenix.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Trophy Wars. This is episode 727. I'm your host, Tricky Mick. Alongside with me, the man, the myth, and the legend. It's Alex.
And the man who's just stacking ultra rare trophies. That's your boy, Alex.
He brings the awesome. It's I Yield to No One.
I survived the monsoon that was most of last week.
And he's the man that likes to burn everything. It's Matt.
Quite literally, since I bought a flamethrower I'm using on my patio.
You bought a flamethrower for your patio?
Yep.
Man, the bug situation up there in New Jersey must be bad if you're having to bring out the flamethrower.
More specifically for the weeds and things growing between the patio pavers.
The life Matt always wanted to live, in the suburbs with a flamethrower.
But I'm not going to sit here and say I don't have a shit-eating grin when I'm using it.
I
expect you to be at least half-mast while you're using it. Let alone
full.
A grin.
Full.
Oh, yeah. Pitching a tent, definitely.
Go ahead, Tricky.
I just have to know, like, when you approach V and say, hey, I'm going to go to the store, I'm going to buy a flamethrower, how exactly does that conversation go? Does she just like, okay?
You assume this was discussed before the purchase was made.
I was going to say, this sounds like this was a, hey, look what I got.
It sounds like this is ask for forgiveness, not permission.
This does seem like a situation where you might want to consult a significant other before making such a purchase.
No. She knows my proclivities, and therefore she leans into them as opposed to denies them, which some other people do.
Usually, art imitates life, but now it's life imitating art with Matt doing all the burning in Helldivers and now doing all the burning in real life.
Okay, so what was the conversation like when you brought it home?
Well, it's look, I have this to burn all the weeds so I don't have to use chemicals on plants that Pyra could possibly get into.
Okay. How the hell are you, gentlemen? We took last week off due to a lot of scheduling conflicts. I had to work. Matt had to burn things, including weeds. Alex, I don't know what was doing. And Yield, I don't know what he was doing either.
I was playing video games.
That seems important.
That is important.
Gentlemen, it's been a hell of a week. How the hell are you guys?
You asked that question.
Judging by the pictures you sent us, it has been a hell of a week, been a hell of a day.
Yeah, just for legal reasons, don't mention that on the show.
I mean, I could be talking about all different kind of things. They don't know.
I know. I'm just saying.
Don't get into details. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, don't ask questions about it.
No, it could have been just Tricky sent me his lunch, and I'm like, damn, I feel bad for his toilet later.
Yeah, I mean, that Chicago pizza is rough on your stomach.
Hell of a day. Oh, people are sending you more Chicago-style pizzas, huh?
No, I still have 2 of the 3 that Jeff sent me at Christmas. Still in my freezer downstairs.
Yeah. Last week, thanks to the storms that rolled through, we lost power in our house from about 5 p.m. Friday night until about 8:30 a.m. Saturday morning. And I got a quick lesson on what you should keep, what you shouldn't keep. I took most of the shit I had, threw it into a freezer chest I had downstairs, packed it full. Luckily, I've had ice. I've been stowing away from my ice maker, which kept some of the milk and other dairy stuff nice and cold. I was able to get some very important medication I have over to a friend's house to ensure it stayed good. But other than that, we only lost maybe $50 or $60 in groceries. And, having a Ryobi fan that you can plug a battery in and use that to help sleep was very good. So yeah, no, in this house less than a year, and we've already had a significant power outage.
All right, let's get into the show. Let's do our updated trophy counts. I am level 990 total trophies of 36,090 with 1,054 plats. Alex?
I don't seem to have the agenda, unless I just deleted it. You mind reading off my trophies there?
Yeah, it's the same agenda we had last week that we didn't use.
Oh, actually, yeah. I might
Alex
that. Yeah.
Alex is level 538 total trophies of 11,529 with 214 plats.
In 213 games.
You don't know your trophies, you don't get to say that.
Oh, he gets to say it.
I just did. I kind of just did.
Yield.
Level 549 with a trophy count of 12,204. Platinum count of 233. I got a new one 2 weeks ago.
Matt?
I'm trying to fix Alex's access. What is it? Level 224 with 1,395 trophies and 0 plats. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I haven't moved them in months now.
And Santa's level 902 total trophies of 28,168 with 869 plats. I'm going to get to say that for a while. We have a Sophie's Trophy and we have a rarity update. Yield, are you ready with the rarity update?
I am now.
Go ahead. Hit us with the rarities.
Okay. In Division 1, Meets Goats a Lot is in hot pursuit of his maiden title and continues to set the pace in Division 1 after 6 weeks. Another couple of plats and 84 points this week keeps him out in front with 558. Shoddy Sniper, though, top scored for the division with 123 points, which was good enough to see him rise 2 places to be the GOAT's nearest challenge with 438. He also earned 2 plats this week to bolster his score. Nitro and Saitaikist each lost a place to drop to 3rd and 4th respectively. Nitro had 54 points, including a common plat, leaving him 2 points behind Shoddy with 436. Sai picked up 33, moving him to 382, but loses ground on those above him. Edge remains in 5th after a fairly quiet week, by his standards hitting 23 points, which leaves him at 329. Marky Frazier leapfrogged me by scoring 33 points and now sits 2 points behind last season's winner with 327. I hit 15 points, taking my score to 315, and I dropped to 7th. Doc Chicken remains in 8th, but the gap to him by Gareth and Pee-wee is reduced. Chicken scored 14 points, moving him to 178. Gareth earned 25, pushing him to 171. And Pee-wee had 21, keeping her above the danger zone with 158. Rolling on the floor, laughing out loud, Z and Eifert Hellfire remain the bottom 2, but swap places. Eifert drops to the foot of the table after securing a single point, moving him to 51. Whilst rolling on the floor, laughing out loud, Z had 20 and moves to 64 and 11th. In Division 2, Alex top scored with the division for the 2nd consecutive week and had the overall best score this week with 142. This pushed him up to 519 points, well clear at the summit of Division 2, as his ultra rare count has increased by 17 over the past 6 weeks. California Wayne remains in 2nd, automatic promotion spot with 373, following a score of 46 for the week. 3rd, 4th, and 5th are separated by just 4 points. Redbeard Rick stays 3rd despite dropping 13 points. After going trophyless this week, he moves down to 271. 4th place is CJ, and 5th place is the Grounded Gamer. They share 267 points. The Grounded Gamer hit the 2nd highest score in Division 2 with 85, crawling back the deficit. CJ, meanwhile, had 33 points to keep him in the upper part of the table. Mr. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 84 actually dropped a place to 6th, with Corey overtaking him. He earned 32 points. helping him move beyond the 200-point mark with 208. There's a 52-point gap down to 7th place, which is Crook 09, who amassed 10 points, taking him to 156 points. And Murray 2011 mustered 6 points, getting him to 106. Tricky has closed the gap on Murray to 4 points following his 14-point increase and sits at 102. He pulled further clear of Dupes 25, who also was trophyless after a couple of good plats recently. He lost a point, taking his score back to 80. The Big Don and Dodge Williams are still the bottom two. Both scored single digits, with Don getting 2 through legacy trophies, which move him to 46, and Dodge pulling some points back with 8, moving him to 32. In Division 3, we have Dazafet hasn't let his 2-week break to the States hinder the progress in Division 3. He increased his ultra rare count by 35 this season. He had 103 points this week and sits at the top with 233 point lead over his nearest challenger with 499 points. The nearest challenger is newcomer Shane Lizard, who had the second highest score of the week with 40 and keeps him in the second promotional spot. Duxie 14 scored 21 points, who keeps him in contention of a promotion challenge as he moves to 221. Resident Daryl, meanwhile, after a promising start, has struggled to maintain that early pace, and despite sitting in 4th spot, dropped off the leading pack. He had 8 this week, moving him to 156. Stink Palm stays in 5th place with just 2 legacy points earned this week, moving him to 129. However, he is well on course to succeed his best point tally for the season if he continues. Waterfields 1 lost 6 points as some of his big walk trophies matured, resulting in some decay. This drops him down to 94. The Brain 76 was the only contestant in the bottom half of the table to hit double figures. He managed 13 points, moving him to 82, and within touching distance of Waterfields. Both Big Bernardo B and Dat1 Seagull failed to register a trophy this week. However, both got a helping hand from legacy trophies. Bernardo had 2 points, moving him to 37, while JT had 1, getting him to 32. Kalai continues to work her way through Spider-Man 2. She had another 4 points this week, which keeps her in 10th with 25 points. It is tight at the bottom with just 4 points separating the bottom 3. 11th place is Darth Knight 82, who had 2 points and is now a point behind Kalai with 24. At the bottom still is Departed 570, but only 3 points behind Darth Knight on 21 points, following a 3-point addition to the week. The rarest trophies of the week, Gareth and Pee-wee both had Surgical Aim and EA FC 26 at 7.95%. Edge had Champion of the World, Marvin Token Fighting Souls at 5.31%. California Wayne, Stronger and Stronger, WWE 2K18, 3.38%. Alex had Miracles and Died. Did I say that right, Alex?
As best as I can tell.
Okay. At 1.71%, and in first place, rarest trophy of the week was Dazafet, Predacure Master from Predator Hunting Grounds at a 1.39%. And finally, Gareth writes, Alex's efforts this week was good enough to see him enter 5th spot of the rarest trophy of the year. Dazafet, despite this week's having the rarer effort, he already has a rarer trophy in this year's competition. That is it for this week's rarity update.
Shouldn't Dazafet, not anything against Alex, but shouldn't Dazafet be on there twice then?
No, it's your rarest trophy.
Oh, so you only allowed one rare trophy for the year. Okay, 10-4. As I said, we do have
me off the list.
No, I just figured, if you've earned 2 trophies that are the rarest of the year, you should get recognition for that.
He gets credit for rarest of the week, but as for rarest of the year, it's your rarest trophy that you earn.
I got it. I'm not arguing it. All right. As I said, we have a Sophie's Trophy this week, but we have a little bit of a twist.
Good evening and welcome to Sophie's Trophies. You may be expecting a more northern British accent, but unfortunately, it is I, Gaz Davis 11, stepping in for Sid as he is unavailable to record this evening. So I've volunteered my services to give Platt shout-outs for the last 2 weeks. I have to say that does not include the ones taken from today's rarity update. We are running a week behind. However, I will start from the beginning of August. So there's a few to get through, and I'll do it in 2 lists. So if your name's duplicated sort of halfway down, that's because it's the end of one particular week. So to start with, to kick us off, we have Shane Lizard with Mortal Kombat 1 on the PS5 with a 9.92% rarity on PSNP. So well done to Shane. Myself, can't forget myself. Disney Pixar WALL-E, PS5, 20.79% rarity, available on PS Plus Premium. Took me longer than what it should have done. Miss Goatslot coming in with 2. He had Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced on the PS5 at 19.32%. And he also managed to get Croc Legend of the Gobbos on the PS5, which is obviously I think it's a remake of the PS1 game, 42.22% already, having recently come out again or re-released. EDJ3DG with a very good one, Halo Campaign Evolved, 7.36%. Not as difficult as some were expecting with the Lasso trophies, either suffering from an apparent glitch, or is it going to stay that way forever? I don't know, but obviously there is a way to manipulate it in your favour. I Yield to No One, host of the podcast with Telltale's Game of Thrones way back on the PS3, 44.63% rarity, which is, I suppose, quite low for a Telltale game, but well done to Yield on that one. Another host, Raise Havoc, also on the PS3 with Sound Shapes, similar rarity at 45.15%. Yield came in again with 007 First Light on the PS5, so newer game, 44.04, so not much difference between that and the Telltale Game of Thrones, actually, both in the 44%. But that is a game that I do want to get to myself, but naturally, as most people of you will know, I'll wait until the sale. California Wayne, Car Mechanic Simulator 2021 on the PS4. He has actually earned the platinum on this on the PS5 earlier this year, so he's now doubled up, and it's not an auto pop one, but he has got it on the PS4, 11.47% rarity. So well done on that one. The Grounded Gamer, Diamond Painting ASMR on the PS4, 71.98, so just sneaking into the shout-outs. Redbeard Rick, Cards of the Dead on the PS5. I'm pretty sure he's also got the PS4 version of this game as well. That's at 31.91%. And Dupes25 coming in with Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, a game I recently purchased. That was on the PS4, and 28.92%, which is quite high given how difficult and long that game is. So, props to Dupes on that one. And also, Doc Chicken also got the plat in that earlier this year. Unfortunately, never made the cut for Plat of the Month, which is scandalous, really. Not even to be nominated, but there we go. So, as Sid likes to do a couple of special shout-outs for the period, I am going to shout out, looking back through that. What should I do? Probably Halo for EDJ and Dupes for Sekiro are my 2 standouts on that one. And we'll move on to the following week. So this is the first week of August. So that one was last week of July. This is the first week of August. We have Duxie 14, The Walking Dead, the Telltale Definitive Series on the PS4 at 42.14%. Stink Palm coming in with Psychopath's Mandatory Happiness on the PS4, 15.36%. A lot of rare trophies in that, worth 3 points. Waterfields 1 and Croco 9 had buddied up with this one, along with several other members of the TPS UK podcast group, to get the Big Walk on the PS5. At time of recording this down, that platinum stood at 4.80%. I'll be amazed if it's anywhere near that at the moment. I'll just do a quick search to see what that is. So it's already up at 29.99%. So oh no, sorry, tell a lie. That's the overall completion, 9.17. So it's still a very rare trophy. It's been downgraded from ultra rare to very rare, but so yeah, still lower than what I would have expected. MZ Nitro. I mean, what do you say about these two games? They've qualified based off rarity, but you've got Find in America, New England, PS5, 72.93. And one of his all-time favourites is Lust Anime Girls on the PS4, 44.16. He may even have the double stack on that. I'm pretty sure he's done something similar. But well done to him on those two. I Yield to No One, Terror of Hemosaurus on the PS4. Not a game I'm familiar with or even heard of, actually, if that matters, but fairly decent rarity at 17.86%. Pee-wee coming in with Planet of Lana on the PS5 at 34.17. I think that's a prequel. I think it's got a follow-up game to that. Is it Planet something of Mana? Planet of Mana, maybe? I don't know, but it has. I'm sure there's two games as part of that series. But she achieved the platinum in that at 34.17. And finally, Dupes with another decent plat. Whilst he might well be struggling a little bit in the rarity, but not in terms of getting plats. He got Assassin's Creed Black Flag resynced on the PS5, and that at the time was 24.90 rarity. So that concludes that. In terms of games, I don't know. It's not. Yeah, what do we say? Maybe there's two in it, really. I suppose Assassin's Creed Black Flag resynced and Big Walk. I'd be also inclined to say Stink Palm with Psychopath Manager, even though I've got no idea what that is. But the fact that it's got quite a number of rare trophies, I'd say that must be fairly decent. So they would be my picks for that week. So that is Sophie's Trophies. Sid will be back with you, I would have thought, next week. But yeah, keep earning those trophies. Cheers. Bye-bye.
All right. So in the editing process, we'll fix a lot of stuff that happened in the background, but Tricky lost power, so we're going to continue the show on from here. Thank you very much, Gaz, for the report outs. And now we'll just go on to what we've been playing while we figure out how to fix things in the background. Yield, do you want to kick us off from here?
So, been playing some Helldivers 2. Well, actually, I played some OG Helldivers and helped my buddy finally get his win a capital defense. So now all we got to do is get 4 of us together so we can get everybody in an APC on a Friday trophy, and he will have the platinum in the latest Helldivers. So that was fun. Played some Helldivers 2, helped Prepare to Die Scum do some super credit farming, so that way he would be ready for the Warhammer Legendary Warbond, which dropped roughly a week ago from when you guys were here this episode. We've played, myself, the Brain 76, and Prepare to Die Scum played one day, I think the day the Warbond came out. Went into the Illuminates and went against the new variants that are there. They can all go suck an egg, because
the Illuminates in general can go suck an egg. That's the worst faction. Anytime they have anytime they have a major order or like a personal order that says fight the Illuminates, I guess I'm not playing.
Yeah. But I used the bolt gun. I like the bolt gun. And I am currently saving up to get the Melt-A-Gun, because I just want to give that a whirl to see if I want to include that in my repertoire of what I use when I drop. Been playing some Roadcraft. I rolled credits on my single player save file. And then I went back and collected all of the toy cars on all the maps. And so now all I have to do is figure out how I want to get the 5,000 kilometer trophy. Do I just want to do the hook the scout to a crane and let it drive in a circle and wrap a rubber band around the controller and come back later? Or do I actually kind of want to earn it? I'm only at 38% of the way there, so it's still a long grind. So I'm kind of debating how I want to do that. I feel like there was something else I played. Played a lot of Generation Zero. Been working on that with my co-op group and solo. Really enjoying that game. I just didn't realize like how massive the map was. So there's a lot of collectibles to find. So you can't just, you could just run through the story, but you're going to have to find the collectibles for the platinum. I was able to roll credits on the Phoenix Rising DLC, and I happened to do all the side missions for that DLC. I just got to get some collectibles to have that 100%ed. And then my platinum this week, or last week, the first week, came in Terror of Hemasaurus. At least that's how I'm saying it. Hemasaurus. The Rampage-like game. Got the platinum in that 2 weeks ago. And I'm going to say that's it. I want to feel like I played something else, but I think that'll do me.
And through the magic of editing, we managed to get Tricky back, and I'm sure by now you've heard all the rarity updates and the Sophie's Trophies. But we've moved on to what we're playing, so I figure Tricky will circle back to you once Alex and I have gone. Alex?
That sounds good to me.
So I turned on my PS5 just to buy into the War Bond, the next legendary War Bond for Helldivers, which of course Shield said is the Warhammer one. I haven't really played around much with it. I did buy the entire first tier of items as well as the bolt gun and a few other things in the second tier, but I would defer to Yield in general to kind of discussion on that because I just haven't played any time with it. I will say that the legendary war bonds kind of have been basically they're $15 as opposed to the regular $10 ones. The premium ones are 10, legendaries are 15. And for the first two, which were the Halo one and the Killzone one, it didn't really seem like it was worth it in the end. Like a lot of everyone's favorite items or favorite war bonds were other ones and not those. So it always seems like they just kind of slapped a $5 tax on the named games or the well-known franchise war bonds. But hopefully the Warhammer one is better, even though it seems like we get fewer items from this one. But yeah, hopefully it's a better war bond because the legendary war bonds, I don't really understand at this point why they're legendary, other than they're just our established franchises. However, most of my time, or really all of my time, has been on the PlayStation 3, going back and doing my trophy cleanup, which, as we can see from the rarity update, has been doing me pretty damn well. Just kind of go through a couple things here quickly. Played Mass Effect 2, got the 3 trophies in the Arrival DLC. Mass Effect 2, obviously a lauded game, and as someone who played it, I can concur, but that game is ugly at this point. If any game could benefit from a remake, it is Mass Effect 2. The Arrival DLC as well, story-wise, incredibly important, especially as you move into Mass Effect 3, but for what you get, it's $7 DLC. I just wasn't a huge fan of the gameplay. So I feel like the Arrival DLC, important to the story, but gameplay-wise, it's just very disappointing. Another game that I played that still looks really good, The Walking Dead. So I had previously got the Platinum in the PS4 version of The Walking Dead Season 1. I neglected to do the 400 Days DLC, though, which essentially is, it's 5 smaller stories showing how 5 different characters converge on their own little encampment, who are later then offered to go to a larger encampment, which, of course, with the question of The Walking Dead is always, is it going to be like, what is it, Alexandria, which is typically a better community, or Terminus, where shit can go bad real quickly? So the characters have kind of that going on in their heads. I'm kind of torn on how they did this, because obviously the first season of The Walking Dead was incredible. And to have this, I understand why they did 5 smaller stories all converging to show how these characters overlap, but just like each character's arc is like 10 to 20 minutes, and so by the time you get into it to learn more about him, it's over, and you move on to the next character. So I'm kind of torn in how I really. It's good to have backstory on characters and show them like, integrate into a little smaller society in this kind of apocalypse, but just having all the stories be so short feels like it does a kind of a disservice to what made The Walking Dead so strong. Another game that I played, as Yield mentioned earlier, was Dyad, a PlayStation 3 game, and this game is all the way back in 2013. It's kind of a racing game, kind of a shooter as well. You're kind of on this track. It's like a tunnel, and it's very much like Wipeout, where it's just sensory overload, kind of psychedelic, and it's one of those games where if you stare at the screen for too long, you can kind of get lost in your place and make a mistake. But basically, you kind of it's kind of like a shooting game where you hook onto enemies, or essentially, if this makes sense, make them docile, so you can use them to propel yourself forward. There are various challenges in the game where you either have to get to the end of a race by a certain time, or you have to hook on to a certain number of enemies, plus meet other requirements to get the trophies. So it's a very difficult game. Again, just propelling yourself forward and how you interact with the enemies. Very fast paced, and that's where the difficulty comes in. It's like if you played Wipeout, it's just a very intense game, and you can just screw up very, very easily. The one good thing about Dyad is there's been only one recent player to the game, and that is me. And there are, there's a whole bunch of ultra rares, and they're all like 2%, 1%. So the good thing about Dyad is if you go back and earn these ultra rares, they're going to stick. It's a game from 2013. There's not a ton of people playing it. And the one drawback is it's a very difficult game. It's hard as nails. I think that I originally had 14% trophy percentage when I first played it, and now I bumped that up to 74. So that's part of the reason that I have very much helped my trophy percentage here. And I just want to brag on myself. I think I started with 1,025 or 1,024 unearned trophies when I went back to do this cleanup. I now have 911 unearned trophies. So I've earned over 100 trophies just by going back and playing old games. And my completion percentage is now 92.45. So I'm heading to 93%, thanks in part to games like Dyad. Definitely had my moments where I've wanted to throw the controller. So be warned, there is significant challenge there. But, at the end, when you finally beat a challenge, it's definitely worth it. The last game that I played is actually a game that I reviewed for Driven Gamer back in the day. I think in 2017, there were 2 games that I wrote reviews for. One was Horizon Zero Dawn, very good. The other one was a game I got a review code for, which was Double Dragon 4. Very much in the style of the NES games, although with more responsive controls. This newer game, they've done a lot to try to revive Double Dragon. They did Double Dragon Neon. They've done Double Dragon Revive more recently, and then Double Dragon 4 back in 2017. As much as the combat feels a lot more fair, it also still feels very unfair because it relies on a lot of the same things that you met like in arcades or in earlier days of gaming, where it's easy to get surrounded by enemies, and it's not easy. Like if you're starting to punch one enemy on one side, it's not super easy to turn. It's like you just press the stick over to the other side, but the response in that isn't always the fastest, and it's easy to get caught in between enemies. And some enemies do a ton of damage. There are some enemies with guns, with fireballs and other power-ups. So Double Dragon 4 was a game that I kind of gave up on a long time ago. I only got 2% of the trophies because I was only able to earn 2 of the trophies. But when I went back and got the ball rolling this time, I'm up to 90% of the trophies, only missing 1. So basically how this happened, if you've ever played Double Dragon 4, the first 3 trophies are for beating the story. And I could only get, because you have to start with a very middle-of-the-road character in the, Billy and Jimmy, or Bimmy and Jimmy, however you want to say it. It's very difficult to get through the story mode in one life. The good thing is, though, on the start screen, let's say you get through 9 levels, you complete level 9, and you get to level 10, and you die on level 10. From then on out, you can go to the start screen, and you can select to start from level 9, and then finish the game that way. That's how I finish the game. Is you have to start. You can any level you've beaten, you can start from that level from then on to complete the story mode. That opens up tower mode for you. That and through tower mode, which there are 100 floors for a gold trophy, you earn other characters like stronger characters like a Bobo, like Jake, or the mysterious warrior who shoots fireballs. All these characters that make the game easier. So like once you get that ball rolling and you've beaten the story mode, it gets a little easier. Now you do have to beat the story mode in one sitting with no game overs with 20 characters, which some of them, like a Bobo, are very easy to beat it with. Other characters are more difficult, but there is a trick to this, and I'm going to tell you if you want to go play Double Dragon 4, or if you've played it before and you want to go get some extra trophies, here's how you do it. So you can play co-op mode, which gives you 7 credits as opposed to 5 credits. Each credit has 3 lives, so essentially you have 21 lives instead of 15. You turn on friendly fire and you kill your partner. What you're going to want to do is you're going to play with the mysterious warrior, who is the best character in the game, the fastest character, and has fireballs, which are very overpowered. And you're going to go through the entire game for the mysterious warrior. When you beat a game in co-op with 2 characters, you get the trophy for beating the game with each character. Now, because there are certain characters that are better to play with than others, what I did was I took every character essentially through the game with the mysterious warrior. So I set one character to player 1, the character I won the trophy for, and then I played through the game as the player 2 with the mysterious warrior. And so because I beat the game with the mysterious warrior, that other character in the co-op session got credit for beating the game and got me the trophy. So if you've had trouble Double Dragon 4, which again, it is a difficult game to get through, unless you're using a few different characters, but that is the way that I got around to it. I've never
cheating.
No, it's not. I've never been a huge look. Stop mapping moves to fucking the controller in Mortal Kombat. Stop using macros in Mortal Kombat. But I have never really been particularly enthralled with these Double Dragon revivals because as much like I love Super Double Dragon on the SNES. That's my favorite game in the series. But I definitely feel like the attempts to revive Double Dragon just haven't really worked all that much. This game I respect it for the NES art style, and there's some nostalgia there, but it's still at times is just an extremely difficult game with how many enemies are on screen, how some of the enemies do just a ridiculous amount of damage, especially in the tower mode. I have gotten to floor 51 in the tower, even with the best character. I couldn't get any further. You're going to want to do co-op. I don't know if they still have online co-op. I know they did at one point. I don't know if it's still supported, but you can do local co-op for that. So if you're looking to go through the tower, co-op is probably the best way to do it. But yeah, I mean, if you really want to help your trophy percentage, if you're looking for a way to clean things up, 1 bronze here, 2 bronzes there, not really going to do much. But when you turn a 2% game to a 90% game, that'll do a lot for you. So that's all I've been playing really, aside from one other game, which last night I tried to play Pixel Junk Eden for 10 minutes. And look, man, I love Pixel Junk Shooter. I love Pixel Junk Side Scroller. But Eden and Monsters are fucking hard. And the floatiness of the movement of the character in Pixel Junk Eden, also combined with the fact that you have a timer to do some of the trophies, just reminded me why I couldn't stand playing that game. I played it for 10 minutes. I'm like, well, fuck this. I'm out. I'll just have 47% trophies in this game forever. So, I've still got a couple more trophies I want to earn in Dyad, but that has been my week, or my last couple weeks, is a whole lot of PS3.
All right. So for myself, I've put more time into Splatoon Raiders. I've managed to get through some pretty difficult early on raids. The cool thing about the game that it does is as you complete a level or a raid in this case, you actually get the opportunity to go back later and play it at a higher level. And it scales with whatever activities you're doing. So if you're playing a raid that's like a level 8 raid, and then you go, well, it's now a level 22 called a spicy raid. Now you have to go back and make sure that you are high enough of a level to be able to take on that raid. There was one particular one I was having a lot of difficulty with that I ended up having to finally actually use the call for help feature. And here I am doing like a level 22 raid, I think it was. I was like at level 21, or no, I was level 22 and it was like 25. and I was having a lot of difficulty. Technically, I shouldn't have been doing it, but then I called in for help, and I got like a level 48 and a level 50 raider come in to assist me. We made short work of it. So I really enjoy that game. If anybody's out there and enjoys the Splatoon series and hasn't tried this one yet, definitely go in and give it a go. It's definitely a lot of fun. And yes, Dan, I am bringing up Nintendo. Dan is in our chat, and evidently talking Nintendo is going to get everybody worked up, which is true because they're the last bastion of physical media prowess and really care about us as players. So just putting that out there.
No, they don't.
Are they really though?
They don't.
They
Are they
are.
really though? Because they're giving you a code with a thing with a code, so they're not really.
No, they
doing it.
give you a game key card, which allows you to download it regardless whatever system it is, not tied to any account, meaning that you can actually go in and sell that back. Can't do that with Sony's new strategy. Also, I have started, and Dan, you're going to like this. I've started a first time playthrough of Mass Effect 2. I've never played Mass Effect 2 before. So I'm going in on the Mass Effect Legendary series. And I go in and I have this grand idea. If you don't know the series, you've got moral choices, meaning you could do good choices or bad choices, and not even like good choices or bad choices, just like kind of like lawful or they call it renegade. You know, you can be a bad guy or you could be a bad actor. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go in. I'm going to choose renegade. Oh, Tali needs my help? Absolutely. I'll do anything for Tali. I'll help you out. So I am going through that, and I've heard it's the best one, so therefore I'm thinking it'll definitely stick. But I've just started it. I'm only like about 2 hours in, and I'm having fun with it. I chose the Infiltrator class, which is kind of like a stealth-based guy, but he has an incinerate ability, which I've already been putting to use. So I'm burning enemies alive in front of me. So I
gotta ask you, because of my comments earlier, is the Legendary Edition, was that like remastered in any way?
I think so. I think it was updated. It was, again, just a remaster, not a remake. It wasn't super like complex as to what they did. It's just they put all 3 original games into one package, and now it's called the Legendary Edition.
Dan says it is updated.
Well, Dan, if you could just let me know in the chat what it is, because I never played the original 2 or 3. He says better coat of paint. That makes sense. It does look good. Unfortunately, on the PC, there is an issue where it incorrectly shows the resolution. So I'm playing like on a 4K TV, and it's stuck at like this 1168 by 760 resolution. It looks really weird. And unfortunately, EA has said, fuck it, we know about it, we're not going to patch it. And as a result, I had to go into the INI files and actually change the resolution in the files and make them work right. So got that done. Game looks great on a 4K TV. And like I said, I'm playing through that. I did put some time into the Gears of War E-Day multiplayer beta. This was me and my buddy Eric, where we were going in and trying out the new Horde mode. And they've got a couple different things that they're doing this time. Before, in the earlier games, you'd play Horde mode, you just drop into a map and you have to set up your defenses and survive 50 waves. This new style Horde mode is a setup where you actually can do like missions leading up to the Horde mode. So go recover this item or go take out this high priority target. And as you work through the map, you could do different side missions. You could engage just on the main mission. And then finally you get to a point where, okay, now it's time for Horde mode. You have to set up defense in an area and actually try to defend against, I think it's like 10 waves. And once you're done, that's not it. Now you have to wait for the King Ravens to come in, that's their helicopters, to actually extract you and your team. So very much the same as old Horde modes. You net kills, which gets you points. You could use those points to buy new weapons or create new defenses. And in this game, you have to level up your actual character, which affords you more weapons. So like you start off, you just have one of the side guns, a snub pistol, and access to smoke grenades. I had to level my guy up to like level 3 to get access to frag grenades as a starting method. And it just gives you a great idea of what's to expect once the game comes out on October 6th. So we're excited to jump into the campaign as well as jumping back into Horde mode. I put some more time into Ball Pit. I completed another level, so it's earning me a new character and a couple other upgrades. Again, that game is such a fun indie game just to jump in and out in like 15 minutes. I played another game called Gamble with Your Friends, which people are calling it like friend slop. It's just games that are being thrown out there that, are meant for you and your friends to play. And this was one where you go in, a loan shark gives you X amount of money. You then go in and you go to a casino and you gamble. And if you don't make your daily quota, suddenly you may find that you have to dig your own grave, literally. But you can go in and sell body parts for money to make sure you have enough. What's fun is as we're earning money and getting more and more, each time you successfully complete a day, you now have to earn more money on the next day. So we're up there and we have to earn, 1.4 million or something. And my friends, especially my friend Stebbs, he's in there playing blackjack and he's hitting minimum bets and I'm sneaking up over his shoulder and I'm hitting like maximum bets, which he's now betting like 700,000 on a game of blackjack, and he suddenly doesn't know why he's losing so much. So yeah, it's just a funny thing I do in the game. I also has started time with the Doom: The Dark Ages Revelations DLC, which is a lot of fun. It's basically takes away your shield at the beginning of the game, and you now have to use this new spear as part of the game mechanics. Still early on in that, got to play more of that to be able to do it. Let's see. Also, Kalai and I started Split Fiction, which is that game by the studio where you buy the game and you can actually have a friend pass. It's by Hazelight Studio. Sorry. You get to play a game as two protagonists and you both have to do certain things. There was one mission where we had to escape via a motorcycle. It's one of the early missions in the game. And I'm driving the motorcycle and Kalai has to stop the bike from self-destructing because it was stolen in this sci-fi world. And what ends up happening is she's using a phone and she has to go through like one of those human validation checks, make sure you're not a bot, make sure you are clicking out the ads. It's a funny concept. But what it does is you play as one person who is a sci-fi writer and another person who is a fantasy writer. And something happens and you go into these worlds and you literally have to play the game to be able to figure out what's going on, why this error happened. And of course, the big company that's helping you do this, it may not be so magnificent on the surface. The funny thing was we're playing this one side story and we go in, and spoilers for anybody who still hasn't played Split Fiction, but we both are pigs. My pig has a power where it farts rainbows and it sends you off like a jetpack. So we're playing through, Kalai and I are going through the level and we get to this point where we're sliding downhill. And we're like, oh, this is fun. Suddenly we end up in a grinder. And then you pop out on the other side as a sausage. And now you have to put yourself into a bun. You have to cook yourself and then fit yourself with ketchup and mustard and then put yourself in the bun to complete the story. Wildest shit I've ever seen. But it's a lot of fun being able to play that and enjoy the story together finally. I've had it in my collection for a while. It's just been difficulty finding people to play with. I could have, but I didn't. You're working all the time, Tricky. You're a very, very busy man.
I am. I really am.
Then I also started a game with my buddy Eric called Super Meat Boy 3D, which is a 3D version of 3D version update to the Super Meat Boy formula. I thought being a 3D platform. If you don't know, it's a super tough as nails game. It's easy to play, but hard to master because you could get points by getting A pluses, meaning you have to beat the time goal in each of the maps. There's a dark world you have to get through. I thought the move to 3D was going to be a problem, but they definitely brought it home and made sure that it is tight on the gameplay and works very well. I realize that was a lot. We've been out for 2 weeks, but I've put a lot of time into a lot of games recently. So, Tricky, back over to you.
The only thing I've been playing is Assassin's Creed Rogue and Division and Cup Heroes. That's it. Cup Heroes released a PlayStation 5 version. I think I talked about this already. So I'm going through that. Played Division 2. They released the season finale mission. I went through that. Was able to get through Master first time, which is surprising because I did it with a bunch of randoms. And I'm doing some trophy cleanup on Assassin's Creed Rogue. Update to my hot take. I'm not hating the ship battles as much now that I've upgraded the ship a little bit. So not bad. I got 3 of the 4 legendary ships done. I am going to use the invisibility cheat to do the last one because apparently you got to fight 5 ships at once.
I'm talking Double Dragon 4. You're like, oh, you're a cheater. Guess who did that? Guess who beat Rogue without using the invisibility or invincibility cheat?
Not you.
Me.
Alex.
You beat Assassin's Creed Rogue and got the platinum.
Yes. It did it last year. It was actually the 3rd game I platinum last year.
I thought you did Syndicate.
I did Syndicate. That was at the end of 2023, but last year after I played Squirrel with a Gun, the next game I played should have been Assassin's Creed Rogue Remastered. You can go look on my trophies.
I'm going to look right now. Because I don't remember you saying you played this.
We knew that was coming.
How do you think I knew?
You did not, sir.
What?
You did not.
Bullshit. I'll send you a photo. How do you think I knew that Sleepy Hollow is in the fucking game? You think everybody just knows that fact?
It's not showing up on your profile, sir.
Oh, you're bullshit.
I'm being 100% serious. The only Assassin's Creed games that popping up on your profile are Origins, Brotherhood, and 2.
It was Squirrel with a Gun, Assassin's Creed Rogue Remastered, Tales of Iron 2, and Subnautica. That, I'm sending you the picture now.
Oh, no. Okay, it just popped up.
Oh, it just popped up.
February 17th.
So, yeah. If I can do it tricky, you can.
All right. I'll do that. One of the trophies I think I'm just got to start a new game and get, and that's the counter 15 attacks from the air.
Why can't you do that?
I don't have it.
In this. Or why
because I've already cleared out all the locations where they would be hiding.
Yeah, and you're sure that you can't go back to those areas and.
I've gone back to like 3 or 4 of them already, and they don't have any more. I do have to go back and do 100% synchronization on some missions. So it is possible that there are some of those in those missions. So I'm not going to start a new game until I get every other trophy but that one. Yeah. Because I got to do... Let's see. What do I got to do? I got to loot 20 ship convoys, which is becoming a problem because they're not always spawning. I have to counter 20 smoke bombs successfully using a gas mask, that's not going to be a problem. 20 loot camps, fully upgrade to Morgan, which only have like 2 more upgrades to do. Complete all the renovations, which only have like 3 more to do. And then I have to do the 100% synchronization in all the missions. And I have all the trophies. So I'm working my way through. At this time, I'm going to throw it back over to Matt for our topics.
Alrighty, so I know we've been off for 2 weeks, so for those of you who don't know, PlayStation did come out and announce their blog, the PlayStation Plus catalog games for August, which include Helldivers 2, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Vampire Survivors, Hell Is Us, as well as Uma Musume, Pretty Derby, Party Dash, and 2 Point Museum, as well as Metro Exodus for the PS4, PS5, Dying Light 2 for the PS5 and PS4, And at the premium level, you're getting Onimusha Dawn of Dreams, as well as Disney's Atlantis The Lost Empire. So I think it's actually a fairly solid month. Helldivers 2 definitely can give that a injection of freebie players. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is a great RPG, was on one of the Game of the Year lists last year. Vampire Survivors, which everybody knows is a great bullet-heavy game where you survive a bunch of vampires. Hell Is Us, Tricky, did you ever actually get to play that one? I know you and I talked about it for a little while.
I reached out for a review code and never got it.
Okay.
That was the game I was going to get you to play.
Yeah, it's a game that it's a melee-based game with some supernatural type of stuff going on, and it doesn't treat the player like an idiot. You actually have to like read into things as to what's going around. If somebody tells you, "Hey, go through the forest, pay attention to the bells on the trees, they'll guide you out." You actually have to pay attention. It's not going to give you a map marker that you go, "Oh, I'm just going to go this way." So it's just a game. I tried I think there was a demo for it. I tried it. I wasn't like super enthusiastic about it, but it's a pretty decent IP, all things considered. But, like I said, I think a fairly solid month in the games that you're getting. I still don't know if premium is worth it. I never played Onimusha Dawn of Dreams, and Disney's Atlantis The Lost Empire feels like a pity toss to you guys. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yield, does this qualify for your high quality games?
No.
I already own Helldivers 2. I'm going to try Hell Is Us. Kingdom Come Deliverance, I don't really know anything about, but I'm willing to give that a shot.
I mean, it is third person, so I think it's third person. So,
and I'm not really interested in anything else.
Alrighty.
Alex, what about you, sir?
Well, obviously, I own Helldivers, so there's no need there. I've heard good things about, Vampire Survivors. I believe Kalai is one member of the community who's played it. Also heard good things about Kingdom Come. Just neither game really interests me. I will say that I have only Metro Exodus is on there, and I have played one Metro game. It wasn't Exodus, but I will say that I think Metro is a very good game series, and have just positive thoughts from what I played of it. So I think that's another good game. So yeah, I mean, again, I think the premium tier definitely could use better games, but at this point, I feel like I'm just screaming at a brick wall. I feel like if we get a game at all, it's at least something positive.
Alrighty. So
before we move on, Matt, just so I want to mention, anybody that's listening to this live, there is a state of play tomorrow for Phantom Blade Zero. It is kind of late for us. It doesn't start until 10 o'clock at night. I'll be asleep by then. But if you are interested in the state of play, Phantom Blade Zero, they said that they will be doing a state of play for it. So
good for them. Coming from GamesBeat, I just wanted to put a quick note out there. There was a lot of news stories over the last couple of weeks saying that after the launch of Halo Campaign Remastered, there were a bunch of layoffs that occurred at the studio. And it came out, everybody was running with the story, being like, "Oh, 343 is going under. Halo Campaign Evolved didn't do well." Now, what ended up being said was it was contractors. It was people who worked on the game as a contract, and the contract was terminated. And an Xbox source told GamesBeat there were no layoffs at the Halo studio. So just wanted to make sure that was put out there. Make sure people understand that sometimes in the need to get a story beat out there, people don't look into all of the details. Yeah, I know, Dan, I am hurting the narrative. I'm sorry for reporting actual news. Next up.
Dan seems like he's going to troll you the entire episode now.
Dan's not trolling me. He's actually trolling other trolls, so I appreciate him being here for that. Yeah, I know, Dan. Never let facts get in the way. Yeah, absolutely. No, definitely not. Pure Xbox comes out. How do you guys feel about getting platinum achievements on the Xbox.
Okay, explain a platinum achievement.
They're going to give a platinum achievement similar to like what a platinum trophy is on PlayStation. Once you get all the other achievements, they're going to give you a platinum achievement.
Oh, okay. Well, good for them.
So basically, this comes from a tweet where a random person named Brandon said, "When are you going to solve the platinum trophy equivalent with achievements?" And Aisha Sharma responds back, "Team is working on something for later this year." So it doesn't get any more official from the horse's mouth that it seems like there are platinum achievements coming to Xbox. Is that going to sway you guys into getting into Project E? I can't even finish that statement.
You lost it halfway through there, man.
I could not finish. Do you think this is going to sway anybody into getting into the Xbox?
No. Not at all.
It's a good try.
You know what? And I'm going to say something, and it's going to sound trolly, and I honestly don't feel it that way, but it feels like they're trying to copy Sony at this point. And I just don't see the point. Like, if you've gone this long without some kind of a platinum achievement, why put it in there now?
I don't know. It's truly puzzling that this is a concern to them. Obviously, you listen, this entire podcast is about trophy hunting, and we have people who are seeking those platinum. So there's obviously an audience for it. I don't know how much they're going to be spending on this to get people to actually turn around and do these things. But okay, sure. Doesn't do anything for me, obviously. Oh dear. Keeping
you
things.
Know what? Hold on a second. I just did a search. I think this might actually be a troll because I just looked up the Brandon account. He has not tweeted anything since June 9th of 2025.
Okay, well, that has little here nor there. I mean, if it's coming from Asha,
but that's what I'm saying. I think that's a Photoshop because not only does that his tweet not exist, her response doesn't exist on her account. So it might just be a Photoshop somebody sends in.
Well, if it is, they got us. That's all I can say. Moving on. So I put a couple different things in here, going back to the physical versus digital, and Nintendo, coming from Games Radar, reports a full 38.5% of its sales are still physical in the wake of Sony abandoning discs. And there's a huge asterisk that it talks there, and said this does include DLC and digital only games, which we know if we remove those, it pumps that number up a little bit. So I think that just, again, shows that stats can be used for whatever purpose and how you want to show them and whatnot. But Nintendo is obviously trying to capitalize on the digital versus physical issue. But with that, I also included something coming from Nintendo's own website showing the total unit sales of a bunch of their different offerings. So for the interested parties, the Nintendo Switch 2, and this was as of June 30th, so it doesn't include July or August sales. The Nintendo Switch 2 has sold 23.68 million units, which is a lot more than the Wii U lifetime sales of 13.56 million. Anyways.
So can I make a comment? So I'm assuming that those physical sales also include bundled games, like the kind of bundled game you get with a Switch 2. Now, the bundle we got includes a digital code. Matt, when they sold the Mario Kart World game bundle, were those physical games, or was that another digital code? I'm not sure.
It was digital.
Okay.
Digital code.
It was a digital code in the box.
A lot of people have been using this stat to be like, well, Sony's full of shit, and I'm here to be like, I don't agree. Because here's the thing. I am someone who I don't buy or rent movies anymore. I'll occasionally go to the movie theater. But most of what I do is watch stuff on streaming services. I pretty much predominantly use Spotify. I don't really buy music anymore. And everyone knows I've fully graduated to digital on the PS5. I bought Star Fox, the physical copy. every game I buy for the original, every game I bought for the original Switch was a physical copy, the cartridge, and everything I buy for the Switch 2 is going to be on a cartridge. And so I have some theories about this, and that we've all, since we were young, our families or us, we bought physical cartridges for Nintendo games. And also, as we've gone on in time, Nintendo's their hard drive space has been a lot less than in the other platforms. Their online services have also paled in comparison. So I think you would expect Nintendo to sell more physical copies than either Sony or Microsoft, where PlayStation came out with the discs, and that was like a revolution because you could hold a lot more data on a disc. So PlayStation and Microsoft have always been seen as having higher capacity consoles where you could store more games, but also just in general more cutting edge tech, whereas Nintendo's kind of been in the background. You know, they are competition for your time, but it's not necessarily the same kind of game style you can play on the other consoles. So I don't think in any way that Nintendo being like, oh, we sell this much physical media has any bearing on what Sony and Microsoft do, because Sony and Microsoft have clearly been pushing digital downloads, whereas Nintendo has not. So I just want to push back on the argument that Sony is full of shit and that somehow people expect Sony to sell the same amount of physical copies as Nintendo. I think that's stupid. And I think that again is being used for people's argument that, oh no, physical games are still blah, blah. So I just had to say that.
Okay. So the one point I want to highlight here is Dan says, oh no, Matt is trying to teach people how statistics work. He's going for pain tonight. Yes, I got to put that expensive education we earned from St. Joe's on to use. The one important stat I want to talk about here is Nintendo Switch, the original unit, has sold 156.59 million units, getting closer and closer to that moved Jimmy Ryan goalpost of 160 million. I think we are going to see a Nintendo Switch overtake the PS2 in lifetime sales at some point.
From what I saw, I can't remember the graphic, but I'm pretty sure in the US that the Switch has already overtaken lifetime sales of the PlayStation 2.
I think in the US, yeah. But global sales is what I'm trying to reach and make sure everybody understands that the original Switch, despite its limitations, is going to overcome the PS2. Just saying. And you guys feel different about my thought and theory?
I feel like the goalpost is going to move the second they get close.
I would believe that, but Jimmy Ryan is no longer in charge. So I'm hoping that Sony keeps.
What was he in charge when the goalpost was moved last time?
Yes.
Oh, I thought he left by then. All right.
No. All right. So that said, now kind of going into the other side of the news, Yahoo Finance of all places. This kind of gets into a conversation we've had behind the scenes, where we've been talking about how when the tariffs came out from the US, a lot of consumers were getting beaten up left and right by PlayStation, Sony, Nintendo and Xbox, and how we were paying more for systems. Well, now after the court ruling that reversed that executive order, companies are getting refunds. And this is where I think we kind of have a little bit of differing of opinion. And the thing is, the way tariffs work is the importer pays the tax. Now, companies, being who they are, pass that on to the consumer. They're not going to sit there and eat that. So who ultimately is owed a refund? Well, if the company is paying the tax and the government is paying the refund to the government is paying the refund to the company, that's where I sit down and say, okay, that company probably owes consumers the tax or a refund. Yes, Dan, I'm now going into economics. So I know Alex and I have kind of gone back and forth on this, but ultimately it's the consumers bore the weight of this. We ultimately should be the ones made whole, because now companies are getting this refund and they're going to sit down and say, well, no, we're going to keep this refund. We're not going to pass it on to the consumers because why? That's where I get lost on this, So there are lawsuits out there saying, I'll get to you in a second, Alex, just to this point, there are lawsuits. People are suing Nintendo and Sony saying, we're owed refunds if you got refunds off of the taxes you paid and passed on to us. Sorry, Alex, go ahead.
No, you're fine. The argument, because Sony and Nintendo have said they're not going to reimburse consumers, because their argument, I believe, is that consumers agreed to those prices when they bought the products, correct?
Yeah.
And I think I shared with you all an article where most companies aren't going to be given back to people. And in fact, consumers are going to see very little of this money in general. One of the people in one of our chats shared Amazon as a company that's giving back money, but then I looked into that and I read an article where it's Amazon's giving back to a small number of people. They're not giving back all of it. So most of these companies are going to try to keep the money. Even companies that are giving back money are only given a small amount. So, I mean, you can argue that if, the companies weren't charged this, and the consumers were, I can understand how someone would be like, well, the consumers need the money back. My issue is more with where all this shit started. Like, I can't be mad at the companies when this shit didn't start with them. And I guess I don't need to go any further with that because we all know where it fucking started. But, yeah, I can understand why people would think that they're owed a refund, but the problem is the legal system's not finding that. As far as I have seen, in most cases, it's going to rule in favor of the companies. Am I wrong about that?
I don't know where the legal side has stood. I just know that the companies have taken the position, because it is a logistical nightmare, to be honest. I'm sure there would have to be levels of saying, well, now you have to prove you purchased something at the time of the cost increase. And truly, like, are these consoles, it's not like games in particular have seen the increase at the same time. I know Nintendo obviously has increased games to $80. Microsoft backed off on a couple of those. But I look at it and go, the cost of the consoles, the cost of hardware definitely has gone up. And is that the company saying, well, it's the tariffs doing it, or is it the ongoing RAM and storage crisis? They can pinpoint, they can put the finger on all these other things and say, well, we actually didn't increase our cost of tariffs, but there's still profit and loss statements showing that they paid these tariffs on these imports and people bore the brunt because it got passed on to the individual. So that's where I sit down and I go, are people owed the money? I believe so. Are they going to get it? I honestly don't think they'll ever see a dime.
I mean, these companies can argue and say that they didn't increase the prices through tariffs, and that negates them right there. Now, do I believe we paid the price for the tariffs? Yes. But all companies got to do is say, no, we increased it, like Matt just said. We increased it because the rise in RAM cost. And it negates any argument right there.
Well, this didn't affect digital game sales or like subscription services, right?
I don't think it did, but I remember there was a conversation saying that that may be included. I don't think that was ever like fully fleshed out or anything like that. But
I mean, like when I bought, any game that I've bought like full price has been, it's not like the price jumped up. It was like $70, or it was, Astrobot on sale for less than that. But like Saros and Ghost of Yote, they cost me $70 when I bought it digitally. So
yeah, but $70 is the standard price
that's
now.
my point. For digital,
right?
I haven't paid anything beyond the standard pricing for games. And we all got our at least I got my PlayStation years ago, so it didn't affect that. And we know the cost of the Switch 2 is going up, and I recently bought a Switch 2, so I avoided that price increase. So I mean some of us weren't affected, I feel like.
Dan says it did apply to digital also.
Okay, well if it did, I didn't notice it.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm defending anybody here, but I get people's arguments that they're due refunds because of the tariffs, but in reality, we're never going to get them. And these companies, regardless of who it is, they all have ways of manipulating the stuff to prove that, oh well, no, we didn't raise our prices because of tariffs. Oh, Dan says it was for overseas published games. All right.
Yeah, I think that if you're going to be mad, and obviously I know that people piled on Sony, and I understand it, but I think if you're going to be mad at everybody. Be mad at Nintendo. Be mad at the government. Be mad at the legal system that is favoring the companies. Be mad at every single thing. Don't just be like, look, Sony's evil. No, I mean, there's a lot of bad actors going around. So if you feel like you are owed money, which I understand, it's a lot of these companies. It's not just one. This is what companies do. They make money, and this is another way they can make money. So it's everybody.
I think if Sony came out and I say Sony, but I mean any of the big three. I think if Sony came out and said, "Hey, listen, we're going to credit everybody $20 on the PSN or whatever the case may be," I think that may negate some of the anger. But I don't see that happening.
It's no.
But I think that's something that should do.
It's not going to anger it. It's not going to negate any anger because people are so pissed about them doing away with physical media that it's not going to do anything at this point, realistically.
I'm talking about the anger of not getting the refund for the tariffs.
Yeah, but see, I don't think the anger about that is large. I think that there are some people who are mad about it, but like I just said, I didn't even notice. Like, a lot of my gaming has been old, going back and playing older games. I bought a few new games. I played through a subscription service. I haven't noticed an uptick in individual things that I've purchased. So a lot of people like me probably don't even care. And I don't care. I don't think I'm owed a refund, to be honest with you. So, and if you do, then that's fine. But I think that the anger over this issue is a lot less than you think it is.
Yield, you've been kind of quiet about all this. What are your thoughts?
I don't have anything to say on it.
What about a refund? You think you're due a refund?
You're not going to get it. It doesn't matter if I think you're going to get or do one. You're not going to get one from the tariffs. It's all been fake promises from all the way up to all the way down. Should we? Probably, but at the same token, how are you going to? You're going to have to prove some kind of a purchase that you only bought one copy instead of going, well, I bought 50 copies. I need 50 refunds. So, yeah, you're not going to get it. It's going to be the people who paid into the tariffs that will get the refunds.
Alrighty, and Dan's comment is, but the consumer was never going to pay the tariffs, only the other countries. Discussion over. Yeah, we're not going to get too much deeper into that. Next story, guess what? Y'all are going to get an extended look at Grand Theft Auto 6 on Netflix on August 27th. Because now you have to pay to get an extended look for a premium game coming later this year.
How long until that's on YouTube?
20 minutes.
Over with.
20 minutes. Anyway, just be on the lookout for that. And finally, before we move on to listener questions, by now you'll probably have all seen there is a new sticker being sold or put on new PlayStation 5 consoles, and it's just basically noting the tweet that's saying on January 2028, newly released games on PlayStation will be available for purchase on the PlayStation Store and retailers in digital format only. So, not only did PlayStation have to take the 8K 60 FPS sticker off, but they now had to put a new one on, warning everybody about the digital only future they're seeing. So guess what? There is no coming back from this. Sony is not going to make a last minute U-turn and say, okay, we're sorry, we'll make physical games available. So there you go, folks. Hope you enjoy your digital future, especially you will. Enjoy the increase in prices of your physical collection that this is causing.
One thing I will say is that, again, we need clarity. Is this Sony? Does this also include Ubisoft and EA and all these other companies? Because I think if it's just PlayStation published games, the uproar and the furor isn't as bad. But I think we deserve clarity. Like, what does this mean for the...
I said the same thing.
I mean, we brought it up like a month ago. When it was initially announced, we brought that up, and we still have no clarity. Is this all of the game makers, or is it just Sony? I know... Look, none of these companies want us to own any games, right? if Nintendo wanted us to own our games, the full game would be on the cartridge, so you could go take it to your friend's house and play it over there very easily. So, like, none of these companies want us to own games. So I have a feeling that most of them want an all-digital future. You know, they don't want to deal with stores. They don't want to deal with discs and shipping and shit like that. But it would be nice for some clarity on the situation.
Okay. And that's all I have for news. Tricky, over to you for listener questions.
Time to check my social media, yeah.
So we really only have one question, and that's coming from Kalai. She says, if your friend has a game that has a friend pass and you play the game for free with the friend, but you don't get any trophies, are you still going to play? Yield?
Yeah. Because if I don't own the game, this gives me an opportunity to play it to see if
All right,
I
Alex?
want to purchase it.
I mean, yeah. It's playing it's deep. I don't have to have the thing that bugs me is not playing a game and not getting trophies, because I just bought a Switch too, so I ain't getting shit for that. But it's when I do play a game and earn a trophy, then I go into completionist mode and I gotta get what I can. So playing games without trophies is no issue for me. It's just a lot of times I play on the PlayStation 3 or on the PlayStation family of consoles, and trophies are a mandate now. So, but yeah, no, I'll still play a game without trophies. That's fine.
Matt, I'll switch it to you about Steam achievements.
Yeah, this comes because as Kalai is playing Split Fiction with me, she realized I'm getting achievements and she's not, since she's playing via the friend pass. So
Right.
obviously, yeah, I don't care. So it doesn't matter to me.
Well, look at that. Like, that's the value. Like, they will let you play the game for free, but heaven forbid you earn achievements or trophies or whatever, Like, that's the thing they hold back, not the game itself.
Yeah. Kalai, I would play the game, but in reality, I'd probably just buy the game so I get the trophies too.
But you still need to help me with Overcooked, Tricky.
I know, and I asked you to play Split Fiction, but you told me that you'd probably get murdered in your sleep if you played with me.
Well, yeah, because Ashley, who is downstairs playing Pokopia on the Switch too, she asked me to play it first, and we just haven't played it. So I feel like if she's asked me to play it and then I play it with you, I will never hear the fucking end of it, and I'm just not willing to open that Pandora's box.
Yeah, how long ago did she ask you?
I mean, when the game came out.
Smart man.
Because I think there's a statute of limitations, like,
Doesn't matter.
No, I mean, like,
no, there's not.
Look, no.
No, there is not.
Don't
listen to him.
No, I mean,
Alex,
at
don't
one
listen
point
to
I was
him.
going to buy her it as a gift so we could play together, but something else came up and I bought her something else because it's something she would have rather had, and just talks of playing it died down. Now, if you know anything, or if you've listened to the show long enough, you know that we played It Takes Two together, and man, did that lead to some interesting family game nights, because
yeah, same reason why you're asking me to play Overcooked.
oh yeah, no, we tried to play Overcooked.
Same thing happened.
It's worse than trying to play Mario Party. Like, Mario Party, you understand, like, okay, you're going to screw me over, that's fine. But when you're working cooperatively on things and it doesn't go well, or one person, when people are struggling to meet in the middle, that's just like, the bells start to toll, and we put out the 10-bell salute.
Me and Sweet Mama D are slowly working our way through It Takes Two.
Yeah, no, so I mean, like, Split Fiction was one of those things where we intended to play, but we just never have. But again, trust me, man, if I'm like, yeah, I'm going to play Split Fiction with Tricky, like, the look I'm going to get, I might as well go out and start funeral planning today.
Statute of limitations, I think, is a year. She's asked you over a year ago. You can play with me.
Yeah, I'm not going to take my chances. Because
do you want me to?
You're on the end of a phone call. She is in the same bedroom and currently downstairs. So I gotta come home from work and deal with that every day. So I'm, no offense, but I'm much more willing to disappoint you than her. Also, it gives you a chance for you and Sweet Mama D to play together. That's who you should be playing with in the first place.
She doesn't want to play Split Fiction.
Is it because you suck?
No, she's just not interested in the game. I just asked Ashley in real time if can Alex play Split Fiction with me. See if she answers.
Tricky, don't skip the other comment we have.
Oh, okay. The other question was, Will, do you think ... Never mind. I already know the answer.
Yeah, because
it had something to do with digital versus physical.
Yeah, Will wants to continue to make it seem like we aren't advocating for physical capabilities for gamers, but that's okay. Will is making a killing off of this announcement, off of his collection, because he's a filthy reseller selling things on eBay and therefore making more money. Just remember, that is realized gain, and IRS should probably get involved, just like they do with all the OnlyFans people. However, you're not going to have to worry about that in your digital only future. So, make what you can now and make sure that you report all the earnings to IRS, and in the future, you don't have to worry about that. So just, that's all I wanted to say about that.
And also, as time goes on, your collection is going to get more and more, rarer, and the prices are going to go up, and you're going to be able to sell your games for a lot more in the future.
Yeah, which makes sure that gets reported to IRS, so that way that can get taxed. I did want to go into one other thing, Tricky. We do have a comment on our Spotify play.
I didn't look, but go ahead, hit us with it.
So my buddy Stebbs writes in, and this is going back into everybody saying that they were right about Xbox. The people that make guesses Xbox Live is not making money without evidence and only a bit feeling, then they say they were right a year later and then bash someone that waited to form an opinion. Are the very same people that fill the bathtub to the very top, get in, and then wonder why the floor got wet. Oh, that's weird. I didn't pee or nothing. Wonder why that's happened. Thank you, Stebbs. I appreciate you coming to my defense.
All right. That is all the questions. Back to you, Matt, for our topic of the week.
Toe. Topic of the week. Well, fine then. Fuck you, Matt.
But this week, it's a special fuck you to the Microsoft from Doom devs. So basically, we all know that the id Studio lost a number of developers over the past couple weeks due to the ongoing changes at Microsoft. And coming from IGN, written by Michael Kripe, I know I hate doing this, guys, but
wow.
It is an IGN article. Basically,
wow.
There is a programmer, Chris Hayes, took aim, and they said, basically, Microsoft doesn't fundamentally understand art. It's hard to make a game that is AAA. That's like we've done before with half the people. And by hard, I mean impossible. It's hard to make a game when the entire departments are gutted, that you need entire disciplines that are gone. So I paired this up with another article that came from The Guardian saying, and this is something that I think, we all have said for a while, written by Keith Stewart, the games industry's obsession with visual fidelity is costing them money and talent. And he goes in and says, last week, Ace Sharma, the new head of Xbox, laid out her vision for the future of consoles. Interestingly, the two titles she picked out as potential areas of growth were Minecraft and Candy Crush Saga. But you laugh, Yield, but you know how much money those two games...
I know. Yes, I am well aware of the money they make.
I think we have said it, and Joe Priestley has definitely said this multiple times, that people are trying to make games that are so photorealistic that it's increasing the development time. It's making games take much longer to develop, which makes it take much more money to make. Plus, it takes the extra time that you're paying people, plus the tools and everything else that go into it. Now you've got AAA games that are trying to reach certain levels of high fidelity. It's costing the company extra money just to do it. And you have a Doom dev out here being like, yeah, they're cutting our entire departments out, so therefore we can't make the games that we want to make. And I go back and I sit down and I say, I get it. And you're seeing it with Grand Theft Auto 6, how, good that game looks. But, it wasn't too long ago that we're all sitting there playing in blocky heaven, trying to just carjack people and beat prostitutes. Silent Hill, very good old days. Silent Hill made its entire purpose, its entire character off of a graphical limitation that they implemented to make the game playable, and that's the fog. So they didn't have to have draw distances and slow down the system. Creative developers will make fun games. They will make games that may not look the best, but play and are fun, and people will love regardless. Look at some of the most popular games today. Just said it, Minecraft. Not exactly graphically great, but I get what the dev is saying. If you lose entire teams, it makes it impossible to make a game. But then you have indie developers out there making games that sell, millions and are enjoying it. What is it? What's the game that just came out? Mecha Chameleon, I think, just sold like 20 million copies. They just crossed. And that game is certainly not a graphically intense game. So it is fun. And is it a little sloppy?
But
yeah.
But it's fun.
But for $5, like, okay, that developer probably is a bajillionaire.
It probably sold so
and
well
now
because Matt was talking about it on the Trophy Wars podcast.
Probably, yeah. I'm just saying, I'm not asking for a kickback, but something comes my way. So
don't you think that the reason the indie games, like the low budget indie games, are so successful is because they are at a lower price point, so you're not spending as much money. Like you can spend $70 on one game, or you can spend $70 on 4 or 5 games.
So I think that's some of it, but I mean, I can say from my personal experience that the indie market is starting to make more games in my wheelhouse. And so I'm looking more that way. I've always, graphics are nice, but I want games that are enjoyable, whether that's your setting, whether that's your story. And if you've got that, everything else is just icing on the cake. If it looks pretty, okay, cool. But if you got a good story or you got a good setting, that's what I want when I play games. Now, the price point, I've enjoyed crappy games because, crappy, quote unquote, because I didn't pay that much money for it, so I felt I got my money's worth out of it. So it probably depends on what.
So Dan says it in here that he goes, how much is the cost of the goods sold? Is the game fun? And indie makes fun, unique games. So if id comes out here and goes, well, we want to make the next Doom. We need to make it graphically intense. We need to make it a gore fest. We need to do this, that. Look at the games that they made in the past. They weren't exactly the highest level of graphic fidelity, but they were able to make them, and they pumped out Doom, Doom 2, Doom, the final chapter. Like, they were able to put games out multiple times in a row over over a short period of time. Now you had Doom Eternal, which came out you had Doom 2016, then Doom Eternal, which I think was 2020, and then Doom the Dark Ages 2025, a 5-year, cycle. And Dan says people still play and buy Doom, OG Doom. That's because they want to see if it'll play on pregnancy tests and, the Penguin Zero. You don't have to make a game that is super graphically, intense. And the reason they charge $60, $70 is because of the time and development effort. Whereas indie people put out a game, maybe they developed in a year. It's fun. They can put it out there for $5 and go, yeah, that's good. And then they sell a bajillion copies and they make a couple 100,000 off of a game that took them a year. So, there's sides to both of this where, don't nuke teams because now you can't make the game, but also maybe your game doesn't need to be what you think it is to sell.
I mean,
no.
Look at Microsoft and Bethesda specifically. I mean, we've heard that there is potentially an outrageous cost to make Gears of War E-Day, which the game may be good, but I can't imagine spending that much money to make a game. And then Elder Scrolls 6. Like, how many times... The joke has been around for at least a decade now. Like, Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim is on every fucking thing conceivable, including, kitchen hardware. But, you look at Bethesda, how much time have they been given to make Elder Scrolls 6? So there's a couple instances of Microsoft just dumping money into big games that, you can see with GTA, where GTA is going to make that money back. With Elder Scrolls 6, considering how well Skyrim sold and how it sold on many platforms and numerous generations, it probably will sell really well. But Microsoft, is you've got these complaints from the developers, but there's an example of, unless that they could have gotten Elder Scrolls 6 out, sooner if they had more people, Microsoft has given them the time to make that fucking game. So, I get it. Like Bethesda, here's the thing. Bethesda sold to Microsoft. Okay, they agreed to be bought by Microsoft. What the fuck did you think was going to happen? Like, legitimately. Like, you were selling off your independence to have an overlord in return for financial backing. So, for people at Bethesda to be angry, it's like, well, could you not have seen this coming? Like, you know how this shit works.
Well, I think the people complaining aren't the ones who made the decision.
They didn't make the deal. I get that. But I don't know. It's, I understand. I can see that where, cutting staff is obviously not preferable and you would want to not lose so many people, but it's happening all over the place. Like, layoffs are just recently part of the game, so maybe you should refocus, as we've seen ballooning budgets, maybe publishers, developers, everybody needs to refocus and come up with more sustainable goals and not just shoot for the fucking moon. Can these dev teams, are they completely told what to do by Microsoft, or do they have a choice in what they make? Yeah, you probably have to put out Elder Scrolls 6, but can you also put out smaller games as well? Like, does it always have to be a AAA or quadruple A game that you put out? Can there not be more focus at every single level? Better planning, better financial planning at every single level of a game company?
I think that, if you were at that level, it wasn't out of it was out of your hands. Maybe, you could have tried jumping the ship sooner. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of is like, where this is going. Maybe you try to set yourself up somewhere else. Otherwise, your thought is maybe I'm the one who won't be cut.
Well, it's hard to, if you've been somewhere for a while, it's hard to leave a more stable situation to say, go start a new development team or be part of an up and coming team. So, I get that, but ballooning budgets, I think that's, studio heads are more to blame for some of this than the people developing the games. But there also needs to be an understanding, a conversation between the development team and the studio heads. Like, look, we need to kind of be more thoughtful about the projects we do because, and I understand that maybe, certain projects are either greenlit or denied by Microsoft, by the publisher. They have ultimate say, but there has to be that conversation between your dev teams and your studio heads to be like, look, we can't continually do projects that cost so much money because if they fail, we see more and more people get chopped off and we lose more and more of our teams and more of the freedom to do what we want to do. I get the frustration at the developer level because it's not their call. But it goes back to the conversation again of these development budgets are ballooning like crazy. So there has to be some kind of fix there for this.
So in chat, Dan says it's a publisher versus developer issue. It's like Hollywood. What makes more top line money? Publishers make the budgets. Developers develop what they are able to get financing for. Do you want to make 100K or 1 billion? These people are too dumb. It's truly a struggle. You work for, and we talked about this when Double Fine was bought by Microsoft, saying if it weren't for that, they probably would have been out of business long ago, as opposed to where they're at now. And you come in and you go, well, if I can have that overhead and Microsoft kind of takes some of that pressure off, we can make the games we want to make. But then do it within reason. Double Fine made the games that they want to make. Unfortunately, the games that they want to make kind of weren't that great in selling. So maybe think of something else. And it's difficult to say. Dan comes back and he talks to a lot of devs these days at all different levels, and they're losing their minds. Absolutely. It's difficult because if you're in an indie studio, you have to figure out where that money is coming from. If you are working for a large studio, you have to go wonder, all right, am I going to be able to deliver this on time or else am I going to get axed? And some of the best games out there are ones being made by people doing it as a side job, trying to deliver a passion project and deliver on something they think is fun, something they want to play. So I don't know.
The problem with being bought is, yes, you get that financial backing, but then Microsoft sets what the financial expectations for your game should be based on the budget and the sales that they think they should get. And so you as a developer may have tamer expectations, but the publisher may be like, we spent all this money and we expected more in return. And so it just much more is out of your hands. So it's a pro and con.
Well, we've been there before.
Pro and con, give and take.
We've been there before where Ubisoft and EA go, this game sold 5 million, but it didn't meet expectations. Like, what the fuck were your expectations then?
Yeah.
Dan says budgets are based on follower count on socials and your wish lists on Steam. It's true. I mean, listen, there's plenty of people on Steam who are like, please wish list our game. It literally is a great thing to help us.
Well, apparently Gears of War E-Day's budget was based on how people used to feel about Gears of War back in the day and not how people actually feel about it now.
Yeah, but they also come out and said we're aiming for an experience back when Gears of War was actually good.
Yeah, but
no battle passes, no microtransactions.
Again, you could spend a lot less money and still make a really good game.
You could, yes.
I think that for me, when it comes to a smorgasbord of gaming, the buffet of gaming that we have, the best, most satisfying meal you can have is a mixture of a few AAA games and then smaller games in between those AAA games. AAA gaming is a lot of money. It's expensive, but you can still have a rewarding experience with smaller, more easily digestible games. $20 games, maybe $40 games. So to me, the plate is best served with that. You have smaller games, you have a few larger games, and I think that's the best for not only your wallet, but just your gaming experience. Just constantly jumping from AAA experience to AAA experience, has kind of given the industry the delusion that those are the best games to have. This is the way forward, and every game we come out with has to be a $200 million, $300 million experience that 20 to 30 million people buy. And if 20 to 30 million people don't buy it, then we've failed. And I think that if you started on the PS3 with a lot of the digital downloadable games, stuff like Limbo, stuff like Braid, the earlier you adopted that, you realized a lot earlier that these smaller games are great, and they're not a replacement for like AAA gaming, but when mixed together, they're just provide a much better experience.
The final thing I'll say on this is limitations breed ingenuity in game development, whether it's financial, whether it's time. It makes passionate developers a little more creative in the games that they make. Dan says a lot of indie devs were pissed at Hollow Knight Silk Song's price. Yeah, well, proved it worked.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Matt, ingenuity these days when it comes to publishers is sequels.
Yeah, well, that's where indies come in. But Tricky, Yield, you guys have been quiet on this. I'll toss it back to you if you want to shut it down or move on or whatever.
I mean, you guys have pretty much said everything I wanted to say, so. But, Alex, I do have an update on Split Fiction with me and you.
Oh, yeah. No, I have an update, too, you son of a bitch.
Alex, she says, Alex will play with me, so I guess why not? Because I asked her if you could play with me.
See, she texted me.
She gave you the green light.
She texted me and she said, play Split Fiction with Mike, I guess, since she won't play with me, which I fucking told you would be the response that she had. And I was like, he asked me, I told him I wasn't going to play with him before you. And then she's like, well, you never will. So do you know how long it's been since she mentioned Split Fiction? Like, she's not pushing this forward any more than I am. And this one simple question you asked her, because you didn't listen to me, you fucked me, dude.
I did
yes, you did.
I said he said he wants to play with you. He said he can't play with me because you asked because you wanted to play with him.
You should have never asked the question.
She said okay.
You shouldn't have opened that box. She was downstairs playing Pokopia. She was fine. She found Kyogre.
Yeah.
She was having a good old time, and then you just had to open that box.
What's Kyogre?
How do you not know what Kyogre
is? Pokemon?
Now you done made her mad.
I don't play Pokemon.
Your daughter does. Or did.
No, she stopped playing like 3 years ago.
Yeah, update there. Should have listened to me, Tricky.
I'll smooth it out for you. Eel, do you have anything to say about all this?
You put
About the topic at hand.
Sorry, Alex. Oh no.
All right, let's shut it down. Let's land the ship. Let's do some shout outs. Alex, I'll let you go first.
Well, first off, I want to send a twerp you to Tricky for opening his dang mouth. Talk about landing this ship. Landed like he landed the fighter jet on the aircraft carrier in Top Gun. Give a shout out to the listeners, the fans, the fuel to the fire, the trophy whores. Thank you all very much for your support. Good to hear Dan in the chat. Give a shout out to all our listeners. You guys are awesome. Thank you for continuing to propel us forward. A shout out to Gareth for the rarity update, as well as him taking over Sophie's trophies for this week. A shout out to Will for his artwork. Shout out to my co-host Matt and Yield. Again, Tricky, go eat some cow shit or whatever. I don't know. And last but not least, give a shout out to my awesome and loving girlfriend Ashley, who again is enjoying some Pokopia. And yeah, that is going to be the end of my shout outs.
Go buy her Split Fiction.
She really wants to. I'm the one that bought the Switch. So if she really wants to play that much, she can go buy it. And we can play together.
You'll just shout out, sir.
Shout out to Matt, Tricky, and Alex for recording this evening. Shout out to Gareth for the rarity update and filling in for Sophie's trophies. Shout out. Well, he hasn't got it yet, so no shout out to that. Shout out to my co-op group for when we get together and run Generation Zero. Shout out to Dan for hanging out in chat this episode. And shout out to all the pimps and madams of the whoredom. Thank you for listening to the show. All the stuff that you guys do behind the scenes. All the Facebook stuff. Yeah.
Matt, your shout outs.
Shout out to you, gents, for recording tonight. Shout out to Dan in the chat. Shout out to some of the bots that seem to have come into the chat. Shout out to Ashley for, I apologize, what you will have to deal with, whether it's Alex or Tricky tricking you into answering a question. A twerp you to Tricky for continuing to have ad breaks in the middle of our show where you can easily program it at the beginning or the end, because now everybody in chat who isn't subscribed is missing our shout outs. Shout out to the Channel 3 community. Make sure to go and check out channel3.gg for gamified social media. And shout out to my wife V. Thank you for all that you do.
And I'm going to give a shout out to all the listeners. Shout out to Dan for being in the chat. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to Ashley. Go play Split Fiction with her, Alex. And if there's nothing else, until next week, happy trophy hunting.
Later.
See ya.
The theme song is Venus by the band Even off their album Zenith. Permission granted by the band and 12 Stone Records. You can find them on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/evenphilippines.